Today I'm giving you some tips and a tutorial for Squarespace SEO, best practices and more, and I'll also address the myth that WordPress is better than Squarespace for SEO. Yes, it's a myth. If you're new around here, I'm Phil, and on this channel I share practical advice to build your brand, including Squarespace, Instagram, websites, content, and more. Consider subscribing for more of my videos just like this one, and hit that bell to be notified when I post next. Now let's talk all about Squarespace SEO, and let me grab my computer for this one. Before we get into the tutorial, I want to first address the myth that WordPress is better than Squarespace. Trust Becca Harpain, my friend and my recent Instagram Live guest.
Fabulous question, and I get this all the time. I feel uniquely qualified to comment on this with my extensive background in SEO as well. Knowing I've been studying this for like over a decade makes me an internet dinosaur. And I will say, without a doubt, all of the initial things I learned are still exactly the same when it comes to SEO. Google and Bing, if people still use Bing, these search engines want to promote the right content for what the user's searching for. If they don't promote the right stuff, the user's not going to keep going back to their platform. It's basically the heart of Google's search engine drive here is to make sure that people are getting the right content to answer their question. So having the right content on your site, regardless of where you built it, is incredibly important. Fresh content that's easy for the user to understand, that's easy for the user to find and to navigate through, easy for them to read, like high contrasting colors, all of that kind of stuff to make the user stay on your website, incredibly important. Optimizing your images, incredibly important. Adding keywords and meta descriptions, so when they see your listing in Google, they'll read a description and think, okay, this is totally me. Incredibly important. All of those completely possible in WordPress and Squarespace. There is nothing that makes either platform better than another. Sure, you can do things like a Yoast plugin and optimizing your images, but the main point is you can optimize a Squarespace website just as much as you can a WordPress website. As long as you know what you're trying to optimize. Again, there's the images, there's the keywords, there's the tags and categories for your blog posts, the constant content. As long as you have good content out there that's well optimized, Google is going to serve that page in search results.
Okay, and on that note, I'm going to switch over to a view of my own website, which I'm going to use for today's demonstration. The first place that you're going to want to go when you're logged into Squarespace to start to address SEO is to click on Marketing. There's a whole dedicated section here by Squarespace which addresses this. Now, first thing, and I'm not going to go through it in detail, I just want you to know it's here because you should be going through it in detail. Squarespace offers what they're calling an SEO checklist. They update really good detail here. So if you're looking for a checklist, this is the best one to follow step by step. And I'm going to point out a few things while you're logged into Squarespace so you can find them quickly. Really, this lists out the most important things you can be doing proactively to get your site SEO ready, okay? I like how they break this up as well into different sections before publishing. Okay, a whole list here. Don't get intimidated. You can work through the items one by one. After publishing, optimizing for search engines, and content best practices, as well as site ranking changes. The most important thing I think at this stage is that you're making an effort to improve how your site is optimized for search. A lot of people click publish on a website without even thinking about this. So there's some pretty simple action items here, like adding a website title and description, adding descriptions to each of your pages, cleaning up your URLs and blog slugs, okay? So those should also incorporate keywords. Images can be a big problem and really weigh your site down if you haven't saved them for web. Luckily, Squarespace will actually save multiple versions of your images and serve whichever one is most appropriate for that moment. So it's not only image size, it's also image file name. Becca's actually the one that taught me to think about your site from two perspectives, the way that humans view it and the way that bots view it. And an example of something humans probably won't see, I mean, most humans won't, a few will, are the alt tags for your images, okay? So when you actually enter in a phrase or a descriptive keyword for every single image, and that's what displays if the image doesn't load or if someone is using accessibility tools, such as, for example, for blindness. So some humans see that, but bots also read that. It gives context for the image, and it's a good opportunity to put some keywords. I'm going to hop back over to my own website to show you, continue touring this little part of Squarespace. When I click Google search keywords here, this is going to take you to the analytics section of your website, and it's going to show you if you are ranking for any keywords. One of mine is creative business ideas. That keyword brings lots of people to my website every month. That's where it's going to show you, okay? If you're not ranking for keywords yet, this is not going to be overly useful, okay? Hire an SEO expert, also not useful. We're trying to do this ourselves. So let's go down here under search appearance, okay? You want to think about your site in two ways: holistically, the whole site as a whole, and also individual page items, okay? This little control here is universal, so it's looking at the SEO title format, okay? I've customized mine slightly. Personal branding strategy is one of my very important keywords, so I have created my SEO title format accordingly. The page, or I should say the home page, will go here. When we click pages, it will show you how it's going to look, okay? So first you're going to see my name, which is my number one keyword that I want to rank for, and then it's going to display the page name. And I have, through using these characters here, actually defined how that is set up. You can do this for the home pages as well as individual items. Let's say, for example, you're selling something on your website. Now, I mentioned a second ago keywords, hugely important for web, but I would say you want to be careful not to put too many keywords because that's considered keyword stuffing. If you have to decide what's more important, a human or a robot consuming your content, I would say a human. If it starts to feel robotic, then you might lose the attention of your viewer, which is the most important thing. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to actually think about keywords that are relevant to your industry. If you need an example, you can see mine right here. This is my SEO site description. Let's talk about keywords for a second. Some important questions to ask yourself. How do your current customers describe your business or product? What questions or phrases do they use? What problem does your product or your service solve? And what words does your partner or your bestie use to describe what you do? I actually learned that from Becca. I love that question. Not just thinking like a business owner, but like people you know. How do they describe you? What's unique about you? That's really branding in practice. And I think thinking about that, all of that, answers to those questions will help you arrive at a good keyword-filled SEO site description. Again, if you need an example, you can read mine on the screen very quickly. It says, Phil Pallen is a brand strategist, social media expert, and keynote speaker who specializes in personal branding and social media strategy. Here it says a short description of your site. It should be between 50 and 300 characters, so make sure you follow that. I also need you to know that I can go into intense detail on SEO. For this simple YouTube video, I'm not going to do that today, but I am going to talk about something that is immensely useful that many site creators fail to do. And that is submitting their website for Google Search Console. You can see it in my history because I frequent this tool. It looks stressful. I promise it's not. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know. So I'm going to click on Sitemaps right away. Here you can see at the time of recording this video, which is April 8th, 2021, I have submitted my sitemap today. Why does a sitemap matter? Well, this is essentially your control to tell Google how to interpret your website, what to find, what to serve, what's there. You're essentially giving Google the roadmap to your website. I'll link to Google Search Console in the description below, but essentially you do exactly as I did. You click Sitemaps, and here you want to enter the sitemap URL. And since we're talking about Squarespace, follow these instructions very simply. Your structure is going to go something like this: your domain, then a slash, sitemap, one word, and then .xml. Squarespace websites, okay, you see it there. Squarespace websites have this built into them, okay? It's not available in the dashboard because this is more on the back end of things, but for the purpose of this, that's literally all you need to type. So you would type your domain here, okay? And then boom, you would add this to the end of it, and Squarespace, or rather Google, is going to be able to read your website. But we're not done yet. There's one more step. And for this step, I'm actually going to copy this, and I'm going to go to google.com. The last step is to literally Google your own website, but you need to Google the whole thing. So a little tip here is to search with the keyword site : then you paste https:// There you go. It might not come up right away, especially if you just submitted your sitemap, then your website might still be indexed. But look at that beauty right there. And let me defer back to Becca to talk about why it's important to submit your site.
It's not a Rome, build it and they will come kind of situation here. You need to take your website and submit it to Google Search Console so it's crawled by these Google bots. And if you make a major update, like launching a blog with 15 posts and you launch to crickets, you're not seeing any traffic, it's not coming up in Google, you probably didn't resubmit it. You need to go back and say, hey, Google, I made you something super cool. Check this out and give it to people. So that's Google Search Console, regardless of where you build, because it's going to be the same optimizations in both platforms. Submit your site there.
There you go. If you're concerned about SEO on your Squarespace website, hopefully I've given you some useful tips to implement, ones that I've used hundreds of times on clients' websites that I've launched over the years. A special thanks to Becca from Inside the Square. You heard an excerpt from her and from our chat when we were live on Instagram. That was awesome. I'm going to link below to that if you want to watch it in full. There are some great insights that she shares, as well as on her channel here on YouTube. I'm going to link to that below. She has incredible CSS tutorials to customize your Squarespace website. If you've got any lingering SEO questions about your Squarespace site, put those in the comments below. We can keep the conversation going on down there, and I respond to those comments personally. Also, share the link to your website so we can check it out. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, and that helps other people discover these videos that I work hard to create. Also, consider subscribing for more of my videos on branding, positioning, building, and promoting your personal brand. Next, I'm sharing through some videos that I think you'll be interested in, including one all about customizing your CSS for your Squarespace website with another guest appearance by Becca. I'm Phil, thanks for watching, and those videos are coming up next.